With the release of Alexander Mattison, it's time to take a look at potential additions to the running back room. Who can we add that might give a little bit more juice to the running back department? Because look, it was atrocious last year, basically the worst in the National Football League. Nobody really scored touchdowns. There was a couple here and there from Ty Chandler and Cam Akers. But the running game was non-existent for our Minnesota Vikings, and that needs to change. So, ultimately, we have to look at potential additions. We have to take a look at who's a free agent, who's in the draft, and what's going to happen. And first and foremost, where my brain goes to, because it is draft season, is who's available in this year's draft. Who are we actually able or capable of drafting this season that won't get taken? And one name basically pops up in my mind. Michigan Wolverines running back Blake Corum. This dude was a touchdown factory for the Wolverines, not just last year, but basically his entire tenure with the Michigan Wolverines. And I think he would be a perfect addition to the team because our red zone offense, let's be frank, needs to be a little bit better, okay? Because we couldn't run the ball in the red zone. We tried, and we just kept getting stuffed, or we maybe get lucky every now and then. So we were basically forced to pass. And Blake Corum, look, his red zone efficiency is top-notch. It's top tier. He would be the perfect addition to the Minnesota Vikings. And actually, one person has Blake Corum, or the Draft Network, one of the Draft Network people, have Blake Corum as a top fit for the Minnesota Vikings. So let's dive right into it. Before we do, make sure to subscribe to the channel. So, the Minnesota Vikings have several holes to fill this offseason. None more significant than quarterback, where Kirk Cousins is hit or is set to hit free agency. But Minnesota also needs to revamp its running game, which ranked 29th, in yards and 30th in touchdowns last season. We were horrible, to say the least. The most economical way to do that would be through the draft, as the league continues to move away from handing out big contracts to running backs. We kind of talked about that when we released Madison, looking at the potential free agent fits that that could happen. Like a Tony Pollard or Saquon Barkley, but all those contracts are really expensive, and we proved last year with Dalvin Cook that we're not going to be handing out a big-time contract to a veteran running back. It's better to draft them, right? Because they're a dime a dozen, all right? But the Draft Network's Justin Mello believes they are a top fit for Michigan's Blake Corum. Here's what Mello wrote. Corum was electric for the Wolverines this season, okay? NFL teams will appreciate Corum's nose for the end zone. The number 56 overall prospect in their latest TDN 100 update, the Marshall, Virginia native, is a patient, creative runner who evades defenders in tight quarters. Corum possesses natural spatial awareness that allows him to adjust his rush path as necessary. Now, Mello also projects Corum to be an instant contributor at the next level following his stellar senior season at Michigan, which included winning the national championship. Okay, Blake Corum is a dog. All right, he basically scored the winning touchdown. I mean, that was the one play that sticks out in my mind when he rolls out. I think it was to the right or to whatever side it was. I believe it was the right side or the left side, and just put his nose down, fought, and he found a way to get into the end zone. He didn't care how many people were going to, come after him and take it or try to lay a hit on him. He was going to score that touchdown, which he did, right? Now, his 1,245 rushing yards in 2023 were a step back from his 1,463 yards on the ground in 2022. However, Corum led the nation with 27 rushing scores and total scores, non-quarterback, okay? Adding another through the air. So 28 total touchdowns, I believe. That's crazy. That is fantastic in college football. That's something that the Minnesota Vikings are missing. Somebody to get into the end zone from the backfield that isn't named Dalvin Cook. Okay, because that's the last running back that we had that was worth something, was actually decent. Could help us out in the run game and basically make us a two-dimensional offense when last season we were a one-dimensional offense, and it really, really hurt. And Blake Corum could fix that. His nose for the end zone, if you guys watched his college games, he's fantastic. He's something that I think the Vikings need to take a look at and seriously need to consider drafting, whether that be in the late second round, somehow trading out of that third round pick, trading up into the second round to take him, because I feel like that's where he might end up. Maybe in the first round. I'm not 100% sure. I see him more as a second-round pick. So if we decide to go quarterback, we take Blake Corum in the second round, or for some reason if he stays, on the board till round 3, take him immediately. We need to fix the running back position, and this is one way, and a cheap way, that we can do it. So Blake Corum is a top fit for the Minnesota Vikings. Is he a logical replacement for Alexander Mattison? You let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It'd be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of the night, folks, and Skol Vikes.